Recorded at Drake Media Studios in New York. Welcome to Conversations with Verdel Jones. Empowering your passion with purpose. This is the show where we bring you inspiring stories, practical advice, and actionable insights to help you turn your passion into a reality. Each episode, we sit down with incredible guests who share their journeys, their challenges, and their triumphs, so you can gain the tools and motivation to take the next step in your own journey. Whether you're looking to spark a new idea, find clarity on your path, or learn from life-changing success stories, you're in the right place. So grab a notebook, settle in, and get ready to be inspired. Let's turn passion into purpose together. Here's your host, Verdel Jones.
Welcome to Conversations with Verdel Jones. I'm your host, Verdel Jones, and we are about empowering your passion with purpose. So, this era of misinformation and or disinformation, how do we know that the news that we hear or see is really true or factual? Today, our guest is passionate about transforming the way that communities stay informed and connected. We have Coralie Saint-Louis. She's a journalist. She developed this app. It's a media tech app, which I'm going to ask you about. Switching from media to tech and how that went. So she's an entrepreneur that's passionate about sharing information with individuals and making sure that it's local and that local communities can get the information that they need and when they need it.
That's correct.
And the name of the app is
Enpak Social, yes.
All right. So I want to thank Coralie for being here again.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. It feels like a reunion.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So tell us what Enpak is. Enpak Social.
Enpak Social, so nowadays we get our news from social media. Mm-hmm. And because we get our news from social media, it's I don't want to call it a cesspool, but it is a cesspool. You don't have access to real news and real information anymore. It's a mixture of, fake news, and now you have AI, or artificial intelligence, where people are creating fake news stories. So Enpak was created because we wanted to highlight and amplify local news. We want people to have access to not just real news, but news in their community that they can use to engage civically. Yes. Because the more informed you are, the more engaged you are in your community. So by knowing what's happening in your backyard and having access to reporters who live in your community and who understand your community, it makes it easier for people to engage with news and to consume news even better.
Right. So you've created an app.
Yes.
And so technology, you're a journalist.
I am a journalist.
But you went into the technology area. How did you make the transition, or how did you use your journalistic skills and then translate that into an app?
I think with me being a millennial, when I entered the field, around the time when I entered it, that's when journalism was slowly transitioning into digital media. So I entered in the digital media phase where I was doing, social media. I was doing websites and CMSs. So I have a little bit of understanding of the tech side, but I wasn't really completely immersed into technology, into the tech world. So now it's been quite of a transition, but not a huge transition for me.
Right, you were already tech savvy.
I was already tech savvy.
Yeah.
But to say that, I was a techie and, I was a developer, I was coding, I wasn't really familiar with that world. I knew the basics. Mm-hmm. But now it's a completely different world.
Right. So you're coding and all that stuff?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not coding.
I was like, whoa.
I am not coding yet.
Okay,
I am not coding yet. But no, I have this amazing team that's assisting me. So my team is great. They're coding. They're doing all the technical side of the app. And I'm doing the front end part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long ago did you start Enpak Social?
So the idea came to me in November 2022. Mm-hmm. And it's been just a straight, going straight on since then.
Wow.
Just powering through.
Wow.
So came November 2022. I had the first designs by January 2023, and then, the first app MVP, our first MVP, was released in March 2024.
Wow. So it's just been...
It was always just like something that was in the back of my head because, I've always been media savvy. I've always been entrepreneurial. And it was always the question of what is the next thing for me? What is the next thing that I'm going to do? And then this app was just the next best thing.
So in 2022, when you're thinking about this app or the concept of the app and keeping news local and wanting people to get their local news in a credible type of way, what was it that made you have the passion to do that?
It's a little bit, I'm not going to call it self-serving. It's not, but it's being a journalist and you're working in a newsroom and you're watching the world unfold around you and how communities are depending on news and they're depending on information, especially if you have elder parents, you have elder members of your family, and they're getting their news from social media. They're getting their news from WhatsApp. They're getting their news from text messaging. And oftentimes it's a lot of fake news. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it.
That misinformation and disinformation.
Yes, it's a lot of fake news. It's a lot of misinformation. And people are making decisions about their lives based on this information, based on things that they're seeing online. So it was important to give people a platform where they can have access and where we're able to curate the kind of information that they're seeing on their feed. And we started with local news because local news matters. We think that local news, people say that local news is dying. I don't think local news is dying.
I hope not.
It's not. It can't.
It can't. Right.
We need local news. Local news matters. It's important. So it was really important for me to highlight local news reporters, local news that matters to you, local news in your community, because once you know what's happening in your community, it's easier for you to stay engaged.
Absolutely.
And to make decisions about your future.
Right. I want to talk about how you actually curate what people can see on Enpak Social app. And is this countrywide?
It is.
Okay.
So we have content from all 50 states. And basically what we do, we're working directly with local news publications. So we started with legacy publications. So these are newspapers or news agencies that have been around for a while. They have a reputation. They are known to be credible. So we're starting with them, but we're also partnering with other local news conglomerates and getting them on the app. So we have a specific feed that we dedicate to local news.
Okay.
So people are able to differentiate what the news is and what other users are posting. We're also verifying reporters. So on our app, journalists are the only ones who are verified because we want people to know who's covering their communities.
Right.
And who the information that they're getting is coming from.
And journalism matters. We
matters.
said local news matters, journalism matters. And I think a lot of people, you hear some people get caught up in the fact that, journalism, don't do that. But there is such a process that journalists go through to get the story right.
Good journalism matters.
That's right. Good journalism matters.
Good journalism
Absolutely.
matters, yes.
Absolutely. So what has been some of the challenges that you faced in this endeavor?
There will always be challenges when you start something new because it's a learning process. I'm relearning how to do a lot of things. I've spent many, many years working for other people, working in newsrooms, not having to... This is something that didn't exist before. And this is something that I have to do on my own. This is something that I have to learn. I have to wake up every day and I have to learn something new. I have to learn legal. I have to talk to, I have to speak to lawyers. I have to figure out, okay, what can I do and what can I not do? I have to learn how to run a business properly. I have to learn how to manage a team and how to bring people together.
I'm exhausted already.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's like, sometimes I say it, it's like, this is worse than working a full-time job because you're constantly and you're always working.
Always.
Like you don't have any time off. Before when I used to work full-time, after a certain time, you're done.
You're done.
you're
right,
done.
You're done.
But when the emails come in at 9 o'clock, you know, you're not going to answer the emails at 9, but then you're still thinking about the email all night. It's like, okay, how am I going to answer this? You know, who can I reach out to? Who do I connect with? So I think the challenge has been learning how to do this well.
Right.
And being successful at it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really a big undertaking, but it's so important. So I want to thank you for that. Where did this, like, why did you want to be a journalist?
I'm nosy.
You know?
No.
I like that answer.
I'm very curious. I've always been very curious.
Yeah.
That's my word. I'm very curious. I'm a very curious person. I've always been fascinated by stories and information and other people's lives and, you know, why things are the way they are, why things happen the way they do, who's making the decisions, and why are decisions being made the way they are. So I've always been passionate about journalism, but I have like a little tidbit story. So I grew up in Haiti, and you know, growing up in Haiti, women were not always seen or heard. And as a young girl, the loudest voice that I used to listen to, it was this reporter on the radio. Her name was Liliane Pierre-Paul. And she was the loudest woman that you could hear. 5 o'clock, you know, the top of the hour news. And she's speaking truth to power.
Wow.
Every day. And that was the woman that my dad listened to her, and she was the loudest voice that I used to listen to, and she kind of inspired me. It's, you know, to be fearless and to ask questions and to fight for your rights and to speak for yourself.
I love that.
So it kind of came from that, and then my curiosity matched with her influence helped me go into journalism.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So tell people how they can, first of all, they need to download the app.
Yes,
right?
please download the app.
And how to contact you and all that. So you can look in that camera and let people know how to get in touch with you and how to download the app.
So the app is Enpak Social. EN, and as in Nancy, PAK. It's available in the app stores, Android and iOS. And you can find us on social media at Enpak Social, and our website is enpaksocial.com.
All right. Thank you so much. So what has been the greatest success out of this endeavor?
I'm still alive. But all jokes aside, greatest success would have to be watching it come to life.
Yeah.
Seeing it in the app stores, and then I'll go somewhere and I'm talking to people and I'm like, hey, you know, even though we're not so big yet, but I'll tell people, yeah, I'm from Enpak Social, and somebody will be like, oh, I've heard of you guys.
Wow. Nice.
And sometimes in the back of my head, I'm like, did you? But it still feels good.
Right.
And I think we've made enough of an impact that when we go somewhere, people can recognize the work that we've done.
That's awesome.
And the fact that we're still going.
Right. Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I wish you much success.
Thank you.
Everyone, make sure that you download Enpak Social, available on all the things that Coralie mentioned, and you know how to do that. I want to thank Coralie for being a guest on Conversations with Verdel Jones. Local journalism and news and information matters, and I want to thank her so much for bringing this to our attention. Thank you, everybody, for watching Conversations with Verdel Jones, and make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe so you do not miss an episode. And in the words of Maya Angelou, when you learn, teach, and when you get, give. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on Welcome to Conversations with Verdel Jones. We hope you found today's discussion insightful and inspiring. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform and leave us a review. It helps others discover the show.